because we have people that want to sit, and if we are at capacity, we are simulcasting this keynote and introductions in Chartbills 1 and 2. So if you need a little more space, you're welcome to go there as well. We're going to get started in about 3 minutes, everyone. So enjoy your day. We'll be with you in just a minute. Good morning, everyone. Wave to me if you can hear me. Wave. Good morning. Good morning. Look at everybody. Yay. All right. Here's the spirit, man. Good. Good morning. Good morning. We are going to get started because we have a full day ahead. So if you find that you are not finding a seat, we are simulcasting into Chartbills 1 and 2, which is right around the corner. And we're excited that you're here today. So I want to welcome everyone today to the California UDL Leading the Way Summit, the first summit of its kind in the state of California. So I am Fred Cochran, and I am the UDL Implementation Specialist here at San Joaquin County Office of Education. And I don't do this work alone. We have a team, I should say, of great professionals that help us along the way. Deanie Coleman, you can raise your hand, she's in the back, and Angel Weber. And our admin team, Noelle Mullen and Gladys and Michelle Torres. Couldn't do this day without all of you. So we're happy to see you here today. This is all about inclusion, access, and equity for all students. So I hope you'll keep that in mind today, that is the spirit we hope we project here today for everyone. So I'll be up here again and talk a little bit more to you, but we're gonna get things started. So this time I would love to introduce Dr. Troy Brown, our superintendent here at San Joaquin County Office of Education, to say a few words about this momentous day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fred. This is amazing. The energy in here is wonderful. Fred, this is great to be here. Thank you to you and your team and all that's going on. Just a side note, we at the San Joaquin County Office of Education, we have a conservation corps, and they're over there. But all these plants, also when you came in out in front and saw the landscaping going on, that's done by our conservation corps. And so these are 18 to 26-year-olds that are getting job development skills. They're actually working, but we're also working on their skills and things like that. And so it's really fun to see that. Also in the back corner, we have Frank, who I think his students from Workability are going to be serving coffee later. So again, welcome. I'm Troy Brown. This is a unique gathering of educators. This is the first, as Fred said, UDL summit of its kind here in the state of California, and is made possible in cooperation with the Capital Central Area Foothill Consortium, composed of 14 counties in Northern California, and the California UDL Coalition. Thank you to all our partners who made this possible. And I also want to thank our team at the SJCUE who worked so hard to bring this landmark summit to life here on this campus. Before we begin, I would like to quickly tell you just a little bit about the San Joaquin County Office of Education. Some of you we know are from this area and know a lot about us, but some are from a little further, and I'd love to share just a little bit. At the SJCUE, we provide educational leadership, resources, and customized services to assist our county's 14 school districts and educators. We promote student achievement and accountability and serve San Joaquin County's most vulnerable students through our charter, special education, and alternative court and community schools. And in all that we do, we strive to create an environment which every student, regardless of circumstances, has an opportunity for a quality education. I am proud of the work that we are all a part of at the SJCUE. We are an organization rooted in service to the community. This year, we made that even more clear when we rolled out a new strategic plan that reflects our values, and it is called Building to Serve. One way the SJCUE serves is by strengthening the community of educators in our county, our region, and our state. You'll see that in the professional networks we help coordinate, the professional learning events we host, and the summits and gatherings we organize to bring educators and their partners together to work towards common goals, focused on important issues including school safety, chronic absenteeism, and more. This year, one of the most exciting things, in my opinion, that we've done, we've coordinated the creation of a new community of practice focused on early literacy. This is an initiative supported by the SJCUE, the 14 school districts in our county, as well as San Joaquin Delta College and the Teachers College of San Joaquin. We have all come together for one purpose in this county. We are all better educators when we partner to learn with and from one another. And when we are better educators, our students benefit. And this is why today is so important. Universal Design for Learning is the instructional framework endorsed by the Every Student Succeeds Act, the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, and the California Multi-Tiered System of Support, and is even embedded in all California educational frameworks. Whatever your needs are around universal, targeted, or intensive UDL support, California is ready to support you in that. Excuse me. Today, we hope you will make connections and meet leaders of UDL throughout the state. We are here to make a difference in the lives of the students we serve, so thank you for being here. I would now like to welcome Placer County Office of Education's Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Jennifer Hicks, who serves as the geographical lead with Capital Central Foothill Area Consortium that represents and supports 14 counties, including San Joaquin County. So let's please give her a welcome.
Good morning. Welcome to the first annual UDL Leading the Way Summit. I'm Jennifer Hicks. I'm the Associate Superintendent of Educational Services for the Placer County Office of Education. I also have the honor of, as Troy mentioned, being one of the Capital Central Foothills Area Consortium, which is a mouthful, so we lovingly call it CFAC, one of the geographic lead agencies along with our partners at Sacramento County Office of Education. CFAC is one of the sponsors of the event. Where are my CFAC people at? If you're a CFAC person, just raise your hand. Lots of CFAC people. Yes, you are. You are. Thank you. I'd like to also just take a moment to thank the volunteers from across the state who've helped to put this event together. A special thank you to the UDL Coalition and the San Joaquin County Office of Education who are supporting this event. I'd like to extend an extra special thank you to Fred Cochran from the Sacramento County or San Joaquin County Office of Education. Fred has truly been the driving force behind this event. He has spent tireless months, weeks, days, making sure that every last detail is taken care of. So thank you, Fred. I want to extend a warm welcome to each of you to this year's summit. Today we gather with a shared commitment to advancing the principles of equity, accessibility, and inclusion in education. UDL stands as a beacon of hope and progress in the landscape of education, championing the belief that every learner deserves the opportunity to thrive regardless of their background, regardless of their abilities or their circumstances. It's a framework that empowers educators to create learning environments that celebrate diversity and cater to the unique needs of all students. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to inclusive education. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Dr. James McKenna from the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence.
Thank you. Good morning. Raise your hand if you've actually heard of the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. Oh, look, that's more than I usually get. So we're a very small state agency that our job is to advise and assist the system to work better, to help educators in the field do the hard work that they already do and provide what assistance as we can. And for me, it's an honor to be here at this California UDL Leading the Way Summit. I get nervous and then I stumble over my own tongue. Today, I bring you an important update. I have this really long title, but really I'm the UDL guy at CCEE. And I'm pleased to say that I'm actually also one of the founding members of the California UDL Coalition. And one of the reasons we started the coalition is because efforts to support UDL were fairly scattered and siloed. And so we wanted to connect with each other and become more than the sum of our parts. And though I stepped away from the coalition when I took my position at CCE 3 years ago, the coalition has continued to grow and into this like powerful force that brought us here together today. And I'm just so pleased to see it. So why does CCE support UDL? Well, it's because our vision is that every student in California be inspired and prepared to thrive as their best selves in the world, which means to us they have to be expert learners, people with the will and the skill to learn and continuously improve and own their own improvement. And so today I have the pleasure of sharing what we hope is another milestone in pursuit of that vision in the spirit of connecting UDL across the state. So if you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide, please. So we are thrilled to release a comprehensive policy memo that sheds light on the state of universal design for learning implementation in California. This memo, developed in partnership with state grant partners, most of whom are in this room, Open Access, the California Coalition for Inclusive Literacy, supporting inclusive practices, as well as friends in county offices and districts across the state. This memo not only identifies strengths, but also highlights critical gaps in our current support systems for UDL. Now, you can go read it on your own. There's the bit.lys there, and it's going out. If you're on our email list, you'll have gotten an email probably today or later today about this. But briefly, it calls for action from policymakers to promote a coherent vision for UDL's expansion in California, to encourage the development of flexible UDL-aligned curriculum and resources, to align state funding initiatives with focus on UDL, and to shift the perception of UDL beyond special education, focusing on enhancing best first instruction and supporting the whole child. So we hope that we can connect with all of you, work together, and inspired by these recommendations, transform our schools into environments where every student has the opportunity to excel. And we thank you for your commitment and your passion for education. The path for inclusive learning is before us, and together, we can make great strides in realizing our vision. And with that, I thank you for your attention. I want to turn it over to the man we lovingly call the Mr. Rogers of UDL, Mr. Fred Cochran.
Yeah, I am a Fred, that's for sure. And I don't have my patches on today, but I've been known to wear a few. So thank you very much, James. Thank you, Dr. Brown, and thank you so much, Jen Hicks, for sharing information today. I think this is a good start for us. What I'd like to do right now is we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. But before I do that, I just want to kind of tell you just a real short story. So about 6 months ago to the day, my good friend Jennifer Betker, raise your hand in the back, from Open Access. She also sits on the UDL Coalition, where we co-facilitate the meetings every month. And we said, you know, we need to launch UDLs. We have to do this work. We have to showcase great work that's happening in the state. And so I just want you to know that this was a 6-month effort to bring you all here together today. And I just want to thank everybody who supported me along the way and got us to where we are. So Jen Becker, thank you for being my friend and colleague and helping this event take place today. So let me tell you a little bit about our campus here. I think you all made it to the parking lot, so hopefully those sandwich boards signs worked out pretty well. We're so thrilled to have a full event today. We do want to let you know, and we hope this wouldn't happen, but in the event of a reason why we'd have to evacuate the building, we would go right out the front doors and under the solar parking lot. So I just want to be sure you know the process for that. We also want you to know that on your tables, you'll see an opportunity to look at the books that are on display here from CAST. CAST has an unmanned publishing table, and they're also offering anyone who attends the conference today 30% discount to purchase books. So the promo code is there. It's also in your bag, but we want to be sure that we highlight that and thank them also for the nice little package of mints that are in there and all the other goodies that you'll find in your bags. So just to let you know, we are in the Wentworth Ed Center. We just want to know a couple things that upstairs, we do have a gender-neutral restroom upstairs. We want to be sure you know that. There are water stations upstairs and downstairs, as well as we also have in our comprehensive health office a lactation station. So if any of those things or any other concern or anything that you need, you look for these purple shirts because we're here to support you today with any questions that we need to address today. We want you to know that 7 sessions are going to be happening at Teachers College. You can see them highlighted in yellow here. And there are sandwich boards outside explaining what events are taking place there for session 1 and session 2. We do expect to have some crowded rooms, so we do want you to know that it is your choice today. This is UDL. We wanted to give you a variety of different venues to go to today. If you find that one of the rooms is full over at Teachers College, we'll have folks outside to help you navigate to another session. So there are 7 sessions handling there. There's 2 sessions in the Chartvilles. There is a session in Harmony Grove down the hall, which is our science lab. So just so that you're aware of that. We do have on the back of your name tags is a QR code for our Sketch account. And I believe that we printed some printed schedules in case that you need access a different way. So I think those are available at the front desk after the keynote today. All right. So you see all of my graphics here. And next slide is just going to again state that we're here to help. This is an event about inclusion, access, equity. And if we don't show that, we're not doing it. So anyway, the purple shirts are here to help, and I know you'll help each other along the way today so that your day is full of good learning. We couldn't put today on without the help of the generous support of our sponsors. I really want to call out UDL Goldbook, a major sponsor. They're in the lobby. They are our good friends. I've learned so much from them in this planning, as well as so that would be Oscar Avalos and Reka, and Rishane, I think her last name is, sorry. And then Corey Brooks and Greg and Katie are at our Text Help Desk, another major sponsor. You'll find goodies in your bag from them. Cass Publishing, as I mentioned. Also, LiveBinder, the UDL toolkit that I share out, is here, and some inclusion, different live binders are here. Take a bookmark with you today. And then, also want to thank Verco Furnishing. You'll see them in the room next door. They have, flexible seating modeled there, as well as Lakeshore Learning has a sensory room there as well. Stop by and take a selfie on our 360 rotating selfie machine there. Also want to thank Bookshare, California Braille Libraries, CodeStack, and Greater Valley Conservation Corp. And that's enough about this. So now I want to introduce my really good friend and colleague, Sam Drazin. He is a nationally recognized educator and changemaker, founder and executive director. Sam Drazin applies his personal and professional background to lead Changing Perspectives' mission to strengthen school communities through social and emotional learning, disability awareness, empathy, development, and inclusion. Sam was born with Treacher Collins Syndrome, a rare congenital disorder resulting in both facial anomaly and hearing loss. His experiences, both as a student with a disability and as a teacher working in an inclusive classroom, helped him recognize the importance of supporting students in developing the essential life and relationship skills that underpin equity, inclusion, and social change. So with that, please give Sam a warm welcome, because you're in for a treat.
you so much, Fred. Good morning. So when Fred asked me to do this, as I get set up here, as Fred asked me to do this, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I said, Fred, how many people are going to come? He said, I don't know, maybe a room full. This is a big room full. So the pressure for my keynote just went up. Really happy to be here. Thank you, everyone. So as Fred said, my name is Sam Drazin. I need to point this to the right place. Are you doing it? Or did I do it? Gotcha. All right. So as Fred said, my name is Sam Drazin. I started my career as a paraprofessional, working with students with disabilities, then migrated into the classroom as an elementary school teacher. I taught 3rd grade and 5th grade, so shout out to anyone who's in the elementary classroom. And about 10 years ago, I left that position to start a nonprofit organization called Changing Perspectives, to really take my personal and professional passion for creating authentically inclusive learning communities for all students and take that to a larger platform. I've put my email address up here on the board. I always say whenever I present that I hope this isn't the end of our relationship together, but just the beginning. So I invite and encourage you to reach out to me after today's presentation if you want to talk more, if there's things that I can support you with. I'd love to hear. I love hearing successes from the field, what's working. A little bit more about Changing Perspectives. We are an educational nonprofit organization. We support schools in California and beyond in their work when it comes to creating inclusive learning communities and supporting social emotional well-being for all students. Website is up here. Social media links, etc. I invite and encourage you to check us out, subscribe to our newsletter, etc. But I want to tell you a story. If we can go back to the previous slide, I want to just tell you a story because oftentimes educators go, well, why did you leave the classroom to start Changing Perspectives? And I want to share a short story with that, kind of an aha moment that I had as an educator that I think links to the work we're doing here today. So I was teaching 3rd grade, and I had a student in my class whose diagnosis was apraxia. So she was 3rd grade, but cognitively, 4 years, pretty much nonverbal. And I was talking to her mom one day, and we were saying, this might be a good opportunity to talk to her classmates about how she's a little different. So one morning at morning meeting, we sat the students down in a circle. The student with the disability was present. The mom was there. The case manager, the one-on-one paraeducator was there. And we said to the students, we're gonna talk about something really special today, and it's kind of personal information to our classroom community. And we shared with the students about their classmate and how she was a little neurodiverse. And then we said, are there any questions? And all the kids look at each other, right? Because we've conditioned our kids not to talk about disability. Disability is the largest minority in the world, but yet it's the minority we talk the least about. And so the kids look at each other like, wait, we can actually ask? Like I was told just to kind of ignore her and go on my way. Finally, one brave student raised their hand and said, well, what does she like to do on the weekends? And her mom said, well, she likes to ride her bike, and she likes to play with her sister, and she likes to watch TV shows. And another student raised their hand and said, well, what TV shows does she like? And her mom said, I don't remember, SpongeBob, this, that, or the other thing. The third student raised their hand and said, well, I like those TV shows too. 2/3 of the remaining conversation were the neurotypical students making connections to how they were the same as their neurodiverse peer. And how did that happen? It happened by the adults stepping out of our comfort zone and doing something different. And I think so much of that resonates with why we're here today, right? This isn't about students changing. Students are going to rise to the occasion, if we realign our framework to a UDL perspective. Students are going to thrive. What does it take to make the change? It takes adults to say, you know what? The way we've been doing education for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years isn't meeting the needs of all of our learners. What do we need to do to shift our practice, to shift the opportunities that students have in order to be academically, socially, and emotionally successful? What I want to do now is get us talking, because no one wants to just sit and listen to a keynote without talking to the people sitting next to them. But I do know educators, and I actually know that educators are sometimes much harder to present to than students. Because when I ask students to come back together and turn off their voices, they do it. When I ask educators to turn off their voices and come back together, I have to ask multiple times. So there's a timer on the screen. This could be a pretty quick exercise. So what I want you to do to kind of get us going, get us jazzed and energized for today's work, is share what I like to call a you can't make these up moments. These are the moments when you're in the classroom, you're an educator, we're all educators in a different way, and students say or do something that you're like, I can't make this up. And then they're the moments, too, where sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I'd written it down. And on the right here, I put all of the benefits of laughter. The scientifically proven benefits of just laughing. So what I want to do is fill this room with laughter in a 2-minute period, which means you're going to turn to the person next to you, and you're each going to have 1 minute to share your you can't make them up moments. A moment when in the educational field where a student said or did something, and you're like, you can't make this up. All right, so we're going to start the timer, and when the timer stops, we're all going to come back together. That's your 2 minutes. So I encourage you to continue to share your you can't make them up moments today as you're connecting and networking with your colleagues in the educational sphere. But I think starting our day with laughter, sharing stories from the field, from being in the classroom, working with kids, which is why we're all here, is a great way to kind of get us going. So what are we here today to talk about? We are here today to talk about how do we, as educational professionals provide multiple means for students to represent themselves and their knowledge, express themselves through action, and provide multiple means for engagement for all students. So kind of thinking about the UDL framework and kind of breaking it down into one simple 1, 2, 3 visual, this is what we're here to talk about. This is what we're here to explore. We're here today to think about what's already working within our systems, and also what are the areas of the opportunistic growth that we can strengthen within our systems. So for those of you in the room who've heard me present before, you know I'm very visual. I like to paint pictures and tell stories. And so one way, we're going to go to the next slide, one way to think about UDL is a buffet, right? I think a lot of times in education, we compartmentalize ourselves, right? And as teachers, we love to do this. If you're in the elementary sphere, we love it. We love 8 to 8:30 is morning meeting, and 8:30 to 9 o'clock is reader's workshop, and then from 9 o'clock to 9:15, we're going to have snack, and then from 9:50, and it's the same every day, right? If you're at the middle or in the high school level, well, period 1, we do this, and period 2, we do this. Oh, my goodness, thank God. Period 3 is my planning period. No one interrupt me, because I got a plan. And period 4, and so on and so forth, right? UDL does not fit into one of those boxes. UDL is a buffet. It's the opportunities that we put out in the table, and we allow our students to eat all they can in different ways. So as we go through today, I really want you to kind of shift your mindset. And rather than thinking about all of the logistical barriers as to why we can't do something, I want you to ask questions that are rooted in curiosity. As educators, it's very easy in our system to say, oh, we don't have the time for that. Oh, we don't have the money for that. And every time you're about to think in that way, I want you to change it to a question. How could we make time for it? Where could the money come from? Where could we get coverage for this time? We are all caught in a world of acronyms. UDL, MTSS, LRE, 504, IEP, DEI, RTI, right? We're so busy in education all day, we can't even say these full words out. We have to abbreviate them. I put UDL here in my globe, but I want us to think about UDL as the globe. UDL is not another acronym that we're adding to our world of acronyms. UDL is the whole globe. So whether you're coming to this today through the lens of special ed and you're thinking IEP and 504, whether you're coming to this today through the lens of kind of SEL, social emotional learning, school climate, school culture, whether you're coming to this today as an ELL teacher, whatever you're coming to this as, whatever acronym really resonates with you in your daily work, I want you to think about how UDL can strengthen what you're doing. There's so much value in taking the time to reflect back on your own experience as a student in the K-12 world. And I think sometimes we forget to look back. And so what I want to do is share with you a few stories about how my K-12 experience had positive impacts on my life from a universal design for lens standpoint. But before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about my childhood experience. So as Fred said in the introduction, I was born with a rare facial difference called Treacher Collins Syndrome. I've had 8 facial reconstructive surgeries, and I wear bone conductive hearing aids. So although UDL supports all learners, I'm coming to this from being a learner with a visible difference, a hearing impairment, a student who received special education services through an IEP. And so looking back at my childhood experience in K-12 education, there were times where I felt like teachers really understood who I was. They took the time to provide information to me in multiple beams. They took the time to recognize how maybe I was feeling a little bit like a social outlier from my peers. And there were also times where teachers did the opposite of all of that. So on the next slide here, these are the schools I went to. I grew up on the East Coast. So my elementary school is in the top left corner. Great little elementary school called the Marion Cross School. It's actually where I got my first paraprofessional job after college. If you read across to the far right, that was my middle school. I grew up in an interstate district, which was Vermont and New Hampshire. And the middle school was, they had great electives. They had all these different electives, but it was also the time in my life where I started to feel the most socially isolated and different from my peers. And then the bottom is I was actually very fortunate to go to an independent school. So it was called the Sharon Academy. It sat way up on a hill. It overlooked the Connecticut River. It was really beautiful. And they had yurts that we had classes in. It was very sort of an alternative educational experience. When I think back about my educational experience in school, there are a few specific assignments that I remember. There's a few specific assignments I remember. I don't remember the math tests that I took. I don't remember the spelling tests that I took. I don't remember the workbooks that I did. I remember a few things, and as I was planning for this keynote, I was like, what are the things I really remember? What assignments do I remember? When I started to unpack it, I was like, oh, they were assignments that my teacher provided me multiple means of representation. My teacher didn't say, you need to write a 5-paragraph essay about X. They said, show me what you've learned. Show me what you know. And I'm going to share a couple of those assignments with you now. So these are a couple pictures of me. I don't know why my parents chose that haircut. But apparently that was very popular in the late 80s, early 90s. But that was me in elementary school. And then I was going through boxes, and I found my middle school yearbook. So that's that picture, was my middle school yearbook in the 8th grade. But a couple things that I remember. I remember in 3rd grade, we studied the Oregon Trail. And we did this activity where we got to dress up as if we were on the Oregon Trail. And being in Vermont, there's lots of woods and rural places. And so we actually reenacted the Oregon Trail for a whole day. And we got dressed up. We had little garden carts. But what was really cool is the teacher allowed us to choose what role we played. So some of the kids in my class wanted to be the horses that were pulling the carts. And as being kind of a small, skinny kid, I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to sit in the cart. So I decided I wanted to be someone who was wounded from a rattlesnake bite so I could sit in the cart. UDL. I remember in 4th grade, we studied Africa. And our teacher said, you need to create an assignment to show what you've learned about the continent of Africa. And for whatever reason, I decided I was going to make a board game. And so I created this awesome board game. And unfortunately, it got thrown out when my parents sold my childhood home. But it was a board game, and it had cards, and you traveled to different countries, and then you picked up a card, and you learned about the country. And I remember like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I was so into that assignment. It didn't feel like homework to me. In 5th grade, we studied the Odyssey. And I decided that I was going to make a movie of one of the stories from the Odyssey. So I did. I don't know if people know the story of the Odyssey, but I decided I was going to do the Lotus Eaters. And so I invited some kids from my class over to my house. And this was also really cool because 5th grade was about the time where my physical difference was starting to impact the way my peers were interacting with me. And I was starting to struggle with some social isolation, some embarrassment. about how I looked compared to my peers. And so this was an opportunity where, like, I invited my peers over to my house. We set up, my poor parents, we set up the sectional in the living room. That was the boat. And I had a parakeet at the time, and I put that on my shoulder. I don't know why. I must have thought Odysseus was a pirate or something. But I remember I put the parakeet on my shoulders, and my parents go out and buy a whole bunch of Lindt chocolate truffles, and those were the lotus flowers. And so I made a video of the lotus eaters. I remember in 11th grade social studies class, we had to do an assignment about an invention. We were studying the Industrial Revolution. And so my friend and I decided that we were going to pick the invention of the elevator. Now, living in a really, really rural place, there aren't that many elevators. So we had to drive all around Vermont finding elevators to film. And we made this great video about the invention of elevators. So when we think about, as educators, providing multiple means for students to engage in what they're learning and represent what they're learning, these are the things that I remember. So here's my question to you. What do you remember from your schooling experience? What do you remember? So what I'd like you to do, I shared with you a few assignments, academic experiences that I remember that really left a mark on me. And not only did they leave a mark on me in terms of learning the academic content, but they also left a mark on me being confident as a student, feeling loud and proud about what I could produce. They also helped me as an individual with a disability who was struggling with some social challenges in middle and high school, connect with my peers, drive around the state and look for elevators. That would have never happened if the assignment was write a 5-paragraph essay about elevators. So what I'd like you to do, again, we have our timer. What I would like you to do is think about maybe just one assignment that you remember from your K-12 experience that really empowered you as a student, that really got you excited to learn, that made you feel confident about what you could produce and connected you with your peers. So we'll take 2 minutes to share that. We'll come back together. again. I encourage us all to reflect constantly on our experiences. What do you remember? What left an impression for you? And how can we create that for students today, tomorrow, and of the future? So a lot of times when I do professional developments for trainings, or professional development trainings for teachers, regardless if it's on UDL or inclusive practices or social emotional learning, whatever, teachers always say to me, well, just give me the tools. Give me the tools for my toolbox, and I'll do it. And I go, nope, not going to happen. We don't give tools until we first changed mindsets. One of the biggest barriers for any educational system moving forward, in whatever initiative you're doing, UDL, MTSS, RTI, all those acronyms, is we need to create a common mindset. So what I want to do is kind of walk through some pieces around mindset. And as I do this, I encourage you to do two things. One, think for yourself, what is your UDL mindset right now? Two, what are your colleagues' UDL's mindsets right now, right? This was elective for you to come to this event today. So obviously, I'm assuming most of us probably have a pretty strong UDL mindset because we're here today. Think about how do you strengthen your mindset and what can you do to be a UDL ally in your learning community? How can you help support others cultivate such a mindset? Little cartoon to get us going. I don't know if anyone's seen this before. So we have the student here who's in a wheelchair. And the student says, hey, could you please shovel off the ramp? The gentleman with the shovel says, well, all these kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them off, then I'll shovel the ramp for you. And this student, who must have gone to a UDL symposium in another state, said, well, if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in. When we think about the UDL framework, we're thinking about and considering how, when we adjust, modify, augment, supplement, add something to our buffet, whatever you want to say, it helps all students in our schools. In school, we are constantly trying to help our students develop a growth mindset. But in fact, a lot of teachers, a lot of educational leaders have a fixed mindset. So I want to go through this. This is a great visual to think about teacher growth versus fixed mindset. So here we go. Here's our fixed mindset for educators. I can't risk that. My test scores might go down. Well, I can't risk that. My administrator might come in and observe me. We're afraid to make mistakes. Oh, my God. Mrs. Smith's bulletin board across the hall. Oh, it's always so good. I'm not even going to try to compete. Oh, Mr. Davis, he always takes his kids to the maker space, and they do these great things. Oh, I'm never going to be as smart as Mr. Smith. I'm just going to do what I've been doing. I'll never be that smart. I'll never be that innovative compared to my colleagues. Oh, it's February. I'm in this profession for summer vacation. I give up. Let's sail through. I've been teaching for 25 years. I know best. I've been doing the same thing. It's always worked. Why is it not working now? Well, it's February. I tried with Johnny, but I think this is going to be as good as it's going to get. So I know we're laughing because you think I probably should have been a stand-up comic and not an educator. But I also think we're laughing because some of the things that I just improvised for you are true. We don't know how to respond because it makes us a little uncomfortable, the truth at times. And we know that oftentimes our system is designed to not be universal, to not support all learners, to actually segregate and exclude. So how do we help our educators move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? How do we help and empower and give our system permission, try new things, and make mistakes? It's okay. It's not the end of the world. How do we help our educators feel like we can value feedback and it's not always evaluatory under the thumb? How do we help our educators challenge what they've been doing for 5, 10, 20, 30 years? Think about not giving up for all students, providing resources and supports. We've got to think about where we are in our roles in the system. Are you in a fixed mindset? Some of the things I said to you, did that resonate? Are you in a growth mindset? Are you somewhere in between? And my hope is that today, as you attend the workshops, you're going to start to have a growth mindset. It goes back to what I said earlier about how in education we really like to make excuses for why we can't do things. And what we need to do is ask ourselves questions. How can we do things? So if you Google components of a UDL mindset, you get a lot of things out there. What I've done is I've kind of taken all the concepts and theories about a UDL mindset, and I kind of pulled it into 5, because we're busy. We got acronyms. We don't have time. So what are the 5 components that I feel are the most important for a UDL mindset? Well, 1, language is important. And it's not just what we say. It's what's written in an IEP. It's what's written in a 504. It's the email we send to a colleague. It's not just what we say, it's what we write. And it's not just what we say, it's how we say it. Kids hear everything. I was at a school the other day and I was doing student focus groups, like student empathy interviews. And students said to me, they said, I hear teachers talking about other students. It happens all the time. Language is important. It's not special ed students. It's students who receive special ed services. And I know we like saying SPED students because that's our acronym. It's faster. But when we say SPED students, we are excluding a group of students. We are kind of presenting it in an ableistic way. Language is important. Be really, really mindful. And when you're talking to someone and they're using exclusionary, ableistic language, make the effort to use the inclusive language. All students are our students. When I work with schools, one of the first questions I ask the school level administrator is what percentage of your teachers would say that all students are their students? In elementary, that number's, could be 50, 60%. You go to middle and high school, that number could be 10%. UDL universal. All educators should view all students as their students. All students should view every adult in their building as their safe adult, as their teachers. All students will succeed. That goes back to that growth versus fixed mindset. All students aren't always going to succeed in the same way. It's not always going to look the same, but we need to go into it with a mindset that all students will succeed. I remember being a young teacher, and I had a student with some pretty significant behavioral challenges in my class, and I remember talking to the special educator, and she flat out just said to me, well, he'll never be able to do that, so just don't even worry about it. And that happens all the time. We give up on kids before we even try. All students will succeed, because if we go in with that mindset, then we'll be able to think about what we do, what accommodations, what modifications, what supports we provide through the UDL framework. Number 4, accessibilities and accommodations support all learners. We have to get out of this mindset of, well, I'm not going to do that just for that one kid. That one kid's a challenging student anyway. Any accommodation, any support we put in place is available to all to choose from that buffet. And number 5, I think is really important. There is no finish line. I think in public education, right, we all have our, every year there's a different initiative, right, in the district. This is the initiative this year. This is the initiative this year, right? And then it's like, this is our plan. This is our strategic plan. We're going to do this, 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 and then we're going to be done with it. Or we're going to move on to the next thing. When we're thinking about a UDL mindset, we need to be mindful there is no finish line. This is a journey, right? We're providing ourselves with a framework that we can access at different points based on the strengths and the needs of each of our students. So again, as I go through these 5 components of a UDL mindset, think about for yourself. How does language play a role in your work? Think about for yourself the people that you work with, whether you're a supervisor or your colleagues. Do they view all students as their students? Do they have a mindset that all students can succeed? Mindsets is where it starts. If we don't have a UDL mindset, we can give folks all the tools in the world, but it doesn't mean they're going to use them, right? You could spend $10,000 and give a teacher a whole bunch of flexible seating furniture, but if they don't have a UDL mindset, how is that flexible furniture really supporting the needs of those students? When we think about UDL, it is not limited to one place or space on a school site. Again, UDL is a framework that can be applied to all the places and spaces on your school campuses. These are just a few. You might have a vocational center. You might have a garden, right? UDL is everywhere. UDL is all the time, right? I talked earlier about the elementary school schedule versus the middle or the high school schedule, right? UDL does not happen in one particular block of time, right? The title of this at the first slide in my presentation was Connecting the Dots. And as you go to your workshops today, I want you to think about how can what you learn in each workshop be applied to all of the places and spaces on your school campuses and in all of the times that students are there. And it takes all of us together. We all need a mindset, right? Educators need the mindset shift. Our students may need a little bit of a mindset shift. You know, they may not be conditioned to have these opportunities. And our parents, our families, our caregivers, and our guardians, right? How many times do you hear parents go, well, this isn't the way I learned math. I can't help my kid with their homework. Happens all the time, right? So we need to look at what are the ways that we educate, we engage, and we inspire all of the stakeholders within our communities to shift their mindset, to go from a fixed to a growth, to start to embody the 5 components of a UDL mindset. We need to recognize that UDL connects to the 2 important goals of a school. Schools are responsible for 2 things. They're responsible for the social emotional growth of capital ALL students, and schools are also responsible for the academic achievement of capital ALL all students. UDL, again, framework. We're connecting the dots. It's not just one or the other. I want to wrap up by sharing with you a couple cartoons. So as you can see in this cartoon, we have a teacher. We have a student, and the student says, as we start the new school year, Mr. Smith, I just want to let you know that I am an abstract sequential learner, and I trust that you'll conduct yourself accordingly. How do we provide opportunities for all students to be successful regardless of their learning style? Well, looks like it's another F in class participation, Rex. Well, that's not fair. How do we ensure that we're providing opportunities for all students to participate, but recognizing that not all students participate in the same way, and being mindful that we don't, as educators, set something up that negatively then affects a student's ability to participate? We can create equality in our schools and our classrooms. We've got 3 kids. They're all trying to watch the baseball game. We all give them the same height stool or box to stand on. But yet, as you can see, we've still got 1 student who can't see the baseball game. We can be a little more equitable and go, all right, well, we're going to have 1 student 2 steps and another student 1 step. But man, that's a lot of work to do that for every kid. Or how could we just take down the fence? How could we just take down the barriers that are holding back our students from being successful academically, socially, and emotionally? And that's what I challenge you to think about today. How can you utilize the components of the Universal Design for Learning framework to eliminate the barriers that are holding our students back from being successful, whatever success means to them? Whew, that was a lot. Thanks for being a great audience and laughing at my jokes, even if they weren't funny. It's really easy to feel overwhelmed when you come to a symposium or a conference, right? And feel like, oh my God, we got to change everything. I encourage you today to think about what is your starting point and what is your 10%. If each one of us can change our mindset or our practice by 10%, that's where exponential change happens in our system. It isn't about having to create a whole new buffet. It's about how can we change, augment, modify, or add to our buffet by 10%. Because those little 10% shifts every day, every week, every year add up. And if you need some guiding questions here to think about going into the sessions today, here's a few. What is the 10% that you can do today to change your UDL mindset? If you feel like, yeah, I already got that mindset down, I'm ready to make some change in action, well, what ways can you integrate the UDL framework into what you're already doing? Again, by 10%, right? And I think sometimes we hold ourselves back. We're like, oh, we can't make change because I got to do it all. No, 10%, 10%. We have like 250 people in this room. If we all made a 10% change, I never did very well in math. It'd be a big percentage. And how can you add 1 new item to your buffet? And so to get us going on that, I'm going to hand the microphone back over to my good friend Fred, and he's going to tell you what's next to come to change your 10%. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. That was wonderful and a lot of laughter. And that's what you said from the very beginning. Let's laugh today. Let's smile, because that is what we all need to do in order to feel welcomed and feel that we belong, because we connect to each other. And as your slides, your title of your presentation, Connecting the Dots, is what we do and we try to do every day. But that 10% is just a little bit to ask, isn't it? Just 10%, that +1 approach. What can I do to just 10% it? So I want to thank you for reminding us of that, Sam. And let's give Sam another round of applause. And Sam, you're, you almost gave us a little, like a 10% added time break here. So I think everyone's going to love you even more just for that, right? A couple of reminders, though, for everyone. We do need you to sign in, and on your tables, there is a QR code for you. If you have not signed in, we do want to know you're here, in case anyone's looking for you. And if you don't have a QR reader available, in the lobby, we have iPads that you can actually sign in so that we have a count for everyone in the room. And another thing I'd like to call your attention to, but not all 250 or so of you can run upstairs for this, okay? But you probably looked at the website or you saw in our sketch that Lisa Bozio from Novak Education is presenting today. And she is presenting today, but she's not presenting in person. So we have a special little Zoom room upstairs in the Kingston room in Educational Services. It will not hold more than about 25 people or so. But don't want you to worry. Lisa Bozio and Novak Education agreed for her presentation to be recorded, and it'll be shared with everyone that is here today. So if you have your heart set to sit in a Zoom setting, we have some couches and chairs and tables in there. Definitely make your way up there, but just keep in mind that you may be turned away if the room is full. We have a lot of other things going on here. So the Chartvilles will be your next option in this building. Dr. Joanne Steinbauer from UDL Goldbuck will be presenting in Chartville 1. James McKenna and Corey Brooks, James McKenna from CCEE, and Corey Brooks from TexHelp will be in Chartville 2. Jennifer Betker and myself will be in the Harmony Grove, and I don't remember everyone's names that are going to be in the Teachers College. But it's on the schedule, and if you can't access the schedule, we have some paper copies of schedules at the front desk. So, is there anything else? Are you guys ready? Can you give us the 10% today? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.